Hi guys, today's lesson is going to be on adding and subtracting linear expressions. So let's get going. Our first problem that we have to look at is asking us to find the sum of the expressions 3x plus 4 and negative 5x plus 6. So it's important to pay attention to how we're going to set this up. We're going to add these two expressions, and we can think of them as separate groups of numbers. So when we are grouping numbers in math, we want to show that using parentheses. So we have 3x plus 4, and we are going to add that to the second group of numbers, which is negative 5x plus 6. Now, if we stop for a second and think about this, we've got this addition sign, and we're going to be adding this entire group of numbers. I want you to think about this as a positive 1. If we have a 1 outside of this, we can distribute and get rid of these parentheses. So let's look at that in just a second. We're going to start with 3x plus 4. There's nothing we can simplify within the parentheses, so we can just write it down. Now we want to get rid of this set of parentheses, and so we're really thinking about this as distributing a positive 1. So positive 1 times negative 5x, a positive times a negative gives me a negative 5x. A positive 1 times a positive 1 times a positive 6 gives me a positive 6. So my new expression includes no parentheses. And I see that I've got 3x. Now I'm going to combine like terms. 3x and negative 5x. That gives me a negative 2x. And then I have a positive 4 and a positive 6. So I have plus 10. Okay? Let's look at another one. The next question says, what is the sum of the expressions negative 6x minus 3 and 10x plus 12? Again, we're looking for the sum, so we're going to be adding these two groups of numbers. So we have negative 6x minus 3, one group, and 10x plus 12. Now, my goal is to get rid of these parentheses. So with the first one, there's nothing going on inside that I can combine, so I can just copy that down. With my second term, I can again think of this as a positive 1 that's being distributed to get rid of those parentheses. So I have a positive 1 times 10x is positive 10x, and positive 1 times positive 12 is positive 12. So you can see that when I'm adding expressions, nothing changed in this second term. I had positive 10x to start with. I still have positive 10x. I have a positive 12. I still have a positive 12. This is going to be an important distinguishing factor between adding expressions and subtracting expressions when we get to that in just a minute. So, important fact to note. Okay, if I have now to combine my like terms, I have a negative 6x and a positive 10x. That's going to give me a positive 4x. And then I have negative 3 and positive 12. And that gives me a positive 9. So my simplified expression is 4x plus 9. Here are some examples for you to try on your own. I'd like for you to pay close attention to examples 3 and 4, where instead of assuming that we have an invisible 1 outside of parentheses, now we actually do have numbers. In example 3, we have a 2 that's going to have to be distributed to each term inside of parentheses. And in example 4, we have 1/2 that needs to be distributed to both terms, and then a positive 1/4 that also has to be distributed to both terms. So pause this video and solve these carefully, and then you'll be ready to check your answers. Okay, how did you do? Question 1, you should have gotten a simplified expression of 3x plus 2. Question 2 simplifies to simply negative 3. You end with a negative 8z and a positive 8z. That is our additive inverse property at work, so that becomes 0. And a positive 4 and negative 7 becomes negative 3. In question number 3, notice that you have 4 minus n this becomes a negative 10n because you distributed a positive 2 to a negative 5n. Positive 2 times negative 5n becomes negative 10n. And then positive 2 times a positive 3 becomes a positive 6. So when I simplify that, I have negative n and negative 10n. That becomes negative 11n. And 4 and positive 6 becomes positive 10. So your answer would be negative 11n plus 10. And then finally, number 4, it simplifies to 3/4 w. When you distribute the 1/2 to w and 1/2 to negative 6, you get 1/2 w minus 3. And when you distribute positive 1/4 to w, you get 1/4 w, and 1/4 times a positive 12 gives you positive 3. Simplifying down to 3/4 w as your answer. Okay guys, on these next set of examples, we're going to focus on subtracting expressions. And this is probably the trickiest part of this topic. It is important, and you'll notice here that it says subtracting expressions is a little different. You must put the parentheses around each expression. So here's why that is. We talked about putting parentheses around adding expressions, and the reason for that is really so that you are using consistency when you begin subtracting. So let's look at this. If we think about finding the difference between 2x minus 6, that's our first group of numbers, and 5x plus 6, our second group of numbers. It's important that when we're subtracting this entire group. If we simply wrote this as 2x minus 6 minus 5x plus 6, are we subtracting the whole group of numbers? We're not. We have it subtracting 5x, but then we're still adding 6. So this would be incorrect. We want to use our groups shown with parentheses because it shows that we are subtracting this entire group. So let's go ahead and get started. Because we have no values outside of our parentheses, again, we can assume that there is a 1 outside of parentheses. We can assume that there's a 1 here also. When we distribute a positive 1, nothing changes. We're left with 2x minus 6. So you can see that really I'm just bringing that straight down. When I distribute a negative 1, you see that negative 1 times 5x becomes negative 5x. When I distribute negative 1 to positive 6, that's negative 1 times 6, that becomes negative 6. Notice how this term now becomes negative 5x minus 6. I'm subtracting both. So I'm on the right track here. Now I simply combine my like terms. I have 2x and negative 5x. That gives me negative 3x. And I have a negative 6 and a negative 6. That becomes negative 12. So my final answer is negative 3x minus 12. Okay, let's do another example. What is the difference of the expressions 8x minus 3 and negative 10x plus 12? So again, we're finding the difference between this group of numbers and this group of numbers. Okay? So important, again, we've got our parentheses. We can think of this as distributing a 1, in this case a positive 1. When we distribute a positive 1, nothing changes when we multiply something by positive 1. When we multiply by negative 1 to distribute, we end up with negative 1 times negative 10x becomes a positive 10x, and negative 1 times a positive 12 becomes negative 12. We're going to combine terms. We get 18x, and we're going to combine constants. Negative 3 and negative 12 becomes negative 15. So 8x minus 15 is our final answer. Here are 6 examples for you to try on your own Pay close attention to whether you are subtracting or adding, and then note that in numbers 5 and 6 you have to set up the problem on your own. Okay? Alright, so go ahead and pause this video and check your work. Make sure that your answers align with mine. Let's put this into a real-world situation. Here I have a word problem that says Jada is comparing membership costs for 2 gyms. What is the difference in membership costs after M months if she joins Be Strong instead of Zippy Health Club? So it tells us that the cost of Zippy Health Club is $49.95 to join and $19.95 per month. For Be Strong, it's $10 off the first month and $24.99 per month. So what does that mean about if it is $10 off the first month? That means that it would be $14.99 for the first month. Now, it asks us again, go back to the question, what is the difference in membership costs after M months? So we can't fully solve this. We can simply set up an expression and give the difference in terms of our variable M. So I would like for you to pause this video, see if you can fill in this expression, the difference in cost, and then we will review the answer in just a minute. Okay, let's look at your expression and compare it to mine. So the difference in cost between Be Strong and Zippy. So Be Strong was $24.99 per month, and then you were saving $10 on that first month, so that would be a minus 10. You're finding the difference, so subtraction, and then here's our cost for our Zippy Health Club, $19.95 per month plus $49.95 initial fee. When I combine like terms, distribute, then combine like terms, and simplify, I end up with 5.04 M minus $59.95. So what does that mean? That means that Be Strong is $5.04 more per month. However, there's a savings, because that's a negative, of $59.95 in the very first month. So you are going to save $59.95 to start with, but over time you're going to pay $5.04 more per month. Okay? Go ahead and pause the video and try to solve this one on your own, finding the missing side. Okay, check your work. You'll notice that I went ahead and my first step, I added the 2 sides that I knew, and I got 9n plus 11. And then I subtracted the 2 sides from the total perimeter to find that missing side of 8n. You're able to go back and check your work by adding all 3 sides together to see if the sum actually equals 17n plus 11, and it does check out. So that is the correct answer, 17n plus 11. We've worked a lot in this lesson. Feel free to go back and watch it again or rework any problems. I hope this has been helpful, and good luck with your assignments this week. Bye.